Okay, so hello everyone. I am very excited. Matter of fact, let me just make sure that everything is great before we start. Okay, we are good to go. So I'm going to unmute everyone. I cannot wait for you guys to meet all of our panelists. So I'm going to get everyone good to go. So everyone has been unmuted. So first of all, thank you to everyone that's tuning in.
Okay, so hello.
You know what, guys? I have something going on at the same time. There we go. It was going on. Okay. So anyway, I'm just very happy for everyone who's tuning in tonight. We have some wonderful panelists. We actually have 5 joining us right now, and then we're going to have 6 joining us starting at 10 p.m. So we're just so thankful to those who are tuning in now. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and we're going to first go and start with Tamira Lucas. And so, you know what, you can go on and tell everyone about yourself and actually about Ryan's Closet as well and the things that you do as far as being a mompreneur.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Tamira Lucas. I am the MD and CEO of Ryan's Closet custom children line. From my daughter, and I definitely instill in others. Don't have to give them when you become a mom. I'm also of the the Boston House, which empowers enlightening women. See the beauty and power in women. I also had a team of TamiraLucas.com, which focused on building and helping moms and grow and support their kids. So I'm here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we're going to go next, and I'm really excited. We have all sorts of different types of people. We don't just have, business owners. We also have nonprofit founders. So now I'm going to turn over to, let me make sure I have everyone together. We're actually going to now turn it to Tamara Varela, and she's going to tell us more about Manifest Now and the wonderful things that she's doing as far as being business consultant, really working on branding and imaging. We know we have a lot of people who ask us questions about branding and build my business. How do I start as a small business? How do I expand? How do I get my image out there? So we're going to turn over to her as she talks us more. She's going to tell us about what she does, and we're going to also give her some questions as well that a lot of you had. She's going to be the one to answer them. So Tamara, can you please tell everyone about what you do?
Hi everyone, thank you for having me. My company is called Manifest Business Consulting, and for the last 20 years, I've been helping individuals and companies either start or expand. Including nonprofits. So what I do is I literally take an idea or a concept out of a person's head and I bring it into the earth. It really depends on what capacity. For some people, I'll do it in a coaching capacity. For other people, I literally do everything from A to Z and hand them over a full-fledged company, including HR, locating the brick and mortar, standard operation procedures, the foundational incorporating, your bylaws, recruiting staff, training staff. I literally have taken people's ideas from on paper and handed them over a full-fledged company. So it really depends on what capacity. And again, I've done it for nonprofits. I've done it for for-profits. I've been used to go in and kind of find out where the problems are and fix them. When it comes to expansion, I have gone in and found other avenues of revenue for them to expand upon. So in a nutshell, I take ideas and I make them money-making machines.
Hey, okay, great. So now you guys know what she does. So now I'm going to actually turn over to a team. I actually first came across this team when I think I heard from her name was Tamisha, and she at first, I love what you guys are doing. And at first I was like, okay, like you get congratulations. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I went to their blog, and I was like, wow. So after she had told me, we were talking back and forth, and then I met Maisha, and we were emailing back and forth. And so this is a team of women who are in the fashion and beauty industry. And we've been getting some questions about this. So for the women who have been waiting and wanting, we have it. So their names are Tamisha Monet and Maisha Jefferson, and they are the founders of I'll make sure I say this right, iStyle Fashion Beauty Society. And it is, I like to call it like a house. Like, you know, you have a house of this, a house of that. It's like a house. And it has different, they have, like I said, they have blog, they have a company, and actually they even have memberships now. So if you really want to gain exposure, you want to learn about networking, you want to learn how to really build your business, especially if you're in the fashion beauty industry, they are the ones that you want to talk to. So I'm going to hand it over to Tamisha first, and then we'll go to Maisha. So Tamisha, you can start it off.
Hi everyone. I'm of iStyle Fashion. iStyle Fashion is an online program for fashion professionals. Provide training programs, opportunity, one-on-one coaching, and resources that you may need for that industry. I have been doing this. I work for Vogue, Lexus. And at this time, I'm more so passionate about business and and I'm going to hand it over to my
Hello. And I am what you call the beauty career expert. And so pretty much.
Okay, you know what? Hold on one quick second before Maisha starts. Maisha, you know what? I got to make sure your volume is up because I don't think it's up. Hold on for one quick second. Okay. Okay, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Nope, still not. Hold on. So I have malfunctions, guys. Don't even worry about it. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I have everything in place before she even kicks off and starts. Okay. These issues before. Okay, could you just start speaking? We just want to make sure that everything is good before we go on. No, we can still cannot hear you. Hold on, let me go to cameraman. Okay. Don't worry, guys. We're still trying to work out the kinks. It's fine. Okay, let's go back into here. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, you know what? Can you see if your sound is down by any chance before we start it? I'm so sorry. Just want to make sure. Guys, we just want to make sure that we give you guys the best. Okay, it's good. Okay, good. Okay. So let me go here and. Okay.
Okay, can you
I
hear
don't
me
know
now?
what's going on. Okay, Maisha, can you go again?
Can you hear me? Talking, no, yes, no.
It's still, I don't really think I can hear. Hold on. Okay. Maisha, you may have to, can you log back in? I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, because I think it's like a connect. It's our Google Hangout. So try logging in and logging back in. I'm so sorry because I don't know what is going on. Okay. So in the meantime, Marlene, can you please go and talk to our ladies more about Far More Precious? In the meantime.
Hi. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep. Mhm.
Okay, great. So I'm Marlene. I am the founder of Far More Precious. It just recently started. We started in June of 2013, and pretty much it's just helping young ladies to overcome past barriers and hurts and pains and struggle and just to fully walk where God has them. So just promoting self-worth, healing, peace, joy, freedom. And so a little bit about what we do. We do workshops. So we've held workshops on self-esteem, purpose, and your vision, having different kinds of events for the young women. So whether it's a clothing swap party or tea parties, our next event is actually coming up next month. It's going to be a clothing swap event. And we also had a career and information session for the young women and a women empowerment session where we had young women of color representing different walks in life, whether they were book authors, accountants, lawyers, doctors, and just for them to talk about things that they've experienced in life and how God has brought them as far as the accomplishments that they've made. So, you know, all the young women that were in the room, whether they're in high school or in college, they were able to just hear from these other women that were probably 5 or 10 years older than them to hear about how, like, they were able to just, you know, move beyond whatever obstacles they face in life, and just to become where they're at the moment. And we also were able to give a scholarship of $1,000 to young girls that night. So I'm looking forward to see where God's going to take Farmer Precious, because we just want to see every young girl to know that they are Farmer Precious and diamonds and pearls. And it's based off the scripture, Proverbs 31:10. I feel like I talk too much.
You are fine. You're fine. Okay, so now we're going to go back to Maisha. Everyone said they can hear you, so maybe it's just me on my end. So Maisha, can you tell us more about yourself, tell us more about what you do, and as far as iStyle, beauty, and fashion and beauty?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, now we're good to go.
Okay, awesome. I'm my expert, and so pretty much what I do is more. We just kind of collaborate, and basically help women get really get started in the industry. As far as who want beauty products, open up a hair salon, do different because we're trained in many areas, and so pretty much women get started with their brand from there.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have a few what we like to call Royal Girl questions to kind of kick things off. But we know that we're getting questions coming into our Google Docs now for the forms. So we're just going to go straight to the questions because, you know what, we might as well kick it off. So I'm going to unmute everyone so that everyone's good to go so we don't have to worry about anything. So let me first start with some of the social media questions that we had. And I'm going to just start bringing it up. So the first one is it's actually a nonprofit question. So actually, because Tamara, you have helped build up nonprofits, so this can go for Tamara, Marlene. This can go for, well, those are our nonprofits with us now. So let me just say the question. So this is the person. This is Wisdom by You. I have an organization helping homeless females and mothers, and I want to build transition homes in my city. How do you form a budget when building a nonprofit? It's a good basic question.
You want me to go first?
Whoever wants to go, okay. Yes, you go.
Does it say what city they're in or what state they're in? No.
Let me. You know what? Wisdom by You. Okay. I want to. You know what? I want to guess that she's from the Bayou because the way it's spelled.
Okay. Okay. I'll start with that. One of the luxuries of doing something that may already be in place is that you can actually look and see what other people are doing and what the trends are, especially for budgets and nonprofits in your area. Every state has an organization that is in charge of all the HUD funding. Here in Delaware, it's called the Delaware Homeless Planning Council. I'm not sure what it's called where you are, but they're in charge of all the HUD funding, and they are in charge of approving or disqualifying homeless shelters for receiving funding. That's a great place for you to start because they can give you an idea what the trends are for your city specifically and what it takes for a startup budget for a homeless transitional housing for mothers. Some things that you definitely have to keep in mind is your insurance and also any type of local fees that you have to pay. Make sure that you have those in there. I'm not sure how deep you're going in reference to staffing or using volunteers, but make sure that your staffing is correct because that's where a lot of nonprofits get caught up. I try to tell people do everything by the book, especially, since we're on Girls of Royalty, especially if you're representing the Lord. Try to do everything by the book. Don't try to take any shortcuts. It may seem like you're getting further because you're saving money, but in the long run, you're not. And your name is all you have. So once you start this transitional program, you want to make sure that you do everything right. And you do have, and it's going to be sacrifices. But when it comes to the finances and your budget, make sure you include everything. And the reason why I'm bringing up staffing is there's almost like the urge or the desire to do a shortcut and hiring people as private contractors. And there are some roles that you may need, like for instance, if you have someone coming in that's teaching something, they possibly could be a private contractor. But if you have staff coming on board, make sure you carry them as staff. I'm talking, your DOL fees, your unemployment insurance. Make sure all that is in your budget from the beginning. Because what you don't want to happen is, and again, based off of where you, and I don't know what locale you're in, but sometimes people can be kind of cutthroat, and I hate to say that, even in nonprofits. So if you're about to voyage into something where somebody else may think that they have a lock on it, depending on where they are in their mindset, I've seen people call, governing bodies and report people, or just to get them, looked at closely so that they can hold on to the funding. The funding is tight out here for nonprofits, and you got to get creative. But in getting creative, just stay true to what's right by the laws and the bylaws of your land. And just make sure, like I'm saying, find out who that governing body is. And if you let Genesis know what state you're in, I can get you the contact for that. Contact them, link with them. They'll be able to tell you exactly what your area needs in reference to the style or the program that your transitional housing is providing. Try to fill the void in the land first, as opposed to just trying to make something up. Did I talk too long?
You gave good information. I don't mind when people talk too long if they have really good information. So that was good information. Marlene, do you have any information that you want to give as well, or any advice?
You said a whole lot, but I think it was great. All the things you gave her. I'm thinking what you could also do is look at if there are other transitional programs in the area, because if there are other transitional programs in your county, whatever town you live in, you want to partner with them and try to figure out what are some that they did, and contact, like you said, HUD with the state, just so you can figure out what are the rules and the laws, so that way you're not missing out on anything. I live in Jersey, and we do have a lot of housing here in this county, and we do have fundings, and most of them are also linked with BPS, which is the Department of Children and Family. So that way the kids that are in and out of the Child Protective Services can transition into that program too. So you want to see maybe if they have anything to do, we want to partner with them too. What are the laws as far as getting in touch with them? Because it is a big need. I know it's something that's a big need. I'm a social worker by profession, and I see a lot with the patients I see in the hospital. A lot of adults that come in and have no place to live. So finding a shelter for transitional housing is a need, because people are going to shelters and they don't have nowhere else to go after that. So developing a program like that is great. We also want to see as far as what services are going to provide, what's going to make you more attractive than another person out there for them to give you the grant.
Okay, that's great advice. Okay, so now we're going to move on. We had actually a question for Tamira, and the question was this. As a single mother with several kids, how did you balance as a mother beginning a business, and where is your me time for the business? That was the question.
Well, that's a good question that I always get. My first advice to you is to make sure that you have a calendar. One of the things that I literally live by, is my calendar, not only for me, but for my daughter as well. So I have a calendar that has all of my entire household, weeks or months. I can look now and tell you what we have. I create a task list, and my task list, I stick to that. We can't predict everything that happens in our day, and some things will change. But you want to make sure that you are setting your task list each day before you go to sleep. I live by my task list. I live by my my calendar. But I also make sure that in my days, I definitely include my me time, which may be only 10 to 15 minutes of me sitting down just doing whatever it is that I want to do. You have to incorporate those things at the beginning, because if you don't, you're going to allow your business to run you and run your household or run your life, and you don't want to do that. You want to run the business. So you want to make sure that you, 1, have your calendar, 2, you have your task list, and 3, you schedule your time. That's so important, and you have to stick to it. It's all about sticking to what you say you want to do.
Okay, great. That was really, really great. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to another question that was put out. Okay, I'm very interested. My thing's up. I am very interested in launching my own clothing line, but I'm having a hard time financially, and with finding a manufacturer. How can I successfully finance my company and find a manufacturer?
Okay. So the first thing you want to do when looking for a
manufacturer, you want to first find one here in the United States, get samples of their work sent over to you. For our members on iStyle Fashion and Beauty Society, we do provide a list of manufacturers. Pretty much, we just will tell you, like, they get the line sheet, how many products you want to get from them, a sample of their work before you put in a mass order to make sure that you like the quality of it. But it's actually not as expensive as you would think to start a clothing line. Long as you do all of the pre-planning beforehand, it's actually not that expensive to start. That's why you see so many of them being started probably within the last 2 to 3 years.
Okay. Maisha?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. You know, whatever that was suggested for iStyle, so other half now.
Okay. I mean, she pretty much covered it. I mean, it's not that hard to get started. We've seen so many people just launch just within the last year alone, and so pretty much she just pretty much covered it. That we do have to after we definitely want to get testing them first.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, next question. I'm trying to get them all up here. Hold on, let me get it up here. Okay, next one. What's the best way to start a nonprofit from the ground, and what are some nice ways to raise funds as well? And this is from I'm K Rich.
Is that for me? Who's that for? Okay, hold on. I'm having a problem. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. Something's going on with my sound. I can't hear myself, but I'm going to talk. So when you're starting a nonprofit, I think first and foremost, it shouldn't be your desire to just start a nonprofit. There has to be a purpose and a plan that you have, something that you're going to be good at, something that you have maybe an experience in, something that maybe a situation that you came out of. There needs to be a desire in your heart. It can't just be, I want to start a nonprofit. So once you pinpoint what your desire is and what your experience is to make you qualify, because when it comes to funding, it's all about being qualified. About 5 years ago, there was tons of funding out there for nonprofits. It's really tight now, and they want to see a lot of capacity building. It's so competitive for nonprofits right now. Even though the need is greater, the funding is drying up. So you have to kind of get creative with other avenues opposed to just writing grants and opposed to just going to the government for funding. Is there funding out there? Yes, there is. I'm just making the point that it's nowhere near as easy to get funding as it was prior to. So when you are thinking about starting a nonprofit, again, number one, make sure that it's something that you have a passion for and that you can verify and show that you have experience in. And it doesn't necessarily mean in a formal workplace, but that a life experience sometimes is enough. These days, especially if you're dealing with kids, the anointing of coming out of an experience makes you more qualified than a book. This generation of kids, they don't care where you came from, what you did. The moment that you walk into the room, they read you. So you can have a PhD. If you can't relate to them, they don't want to hear anything that you're saying. So I don't know if your heart is to start something for kids or why I went there, but it's a definite shift in that the kids these days are only responding to people with the anointing, meaning that you can come out of it and they know that you came from their background. So you want to make sure that you have that. Number two is when you develop your programs, make sure, first of all, put everything on paper. Some of this stuff works for business and nonprofit. Make sure you have everything on paper and make sure that your plan is concise. Once you come up with whatever your purpose is, what your heart is and your desire is, begin to look all throughout your directed land and see what the needs are. Once you see what your needs are, you have to start developing your programs. And when you're developing programs, make sure that they're outcome specific. Because when it comes to getting the funding, they want to know what are you going to produce in the end. That's why it's good to contact funders and say, what types of programs are you looking for? What types of results do you want to come out of that program? Because say a funder gives you, $50,000 for the first year. You have to show at the end, your reporting needs to be on point. And you need to be able to prove to them that with that $50,000, I met those goals and objectives that you trusted me with. That's why I tell people, again, don't cut any corners. It takes more time to be thorough, but take the time to be thorough. Keep everything documented. When it comes to those, outcomes, if you could get written and verbal testimonies, that's great. A funder loves to get a link to a video of a child saying, you know, without XYZ program, I would still be out hustling, or I would still be out, you know, disrespecting my parents. They love to see that. And trust me, that will put a memory in their head for funding for next year. I'm trying to think of what else I can tell you. It's kind of hard not knowing what exactly you want to do. But whatever you decide to do, just like I said with the homelessness program, link up with the governing bodies that cover that specific population, and go to their website, meet with the executive director, the president, and find out what the trends are, because things kind of change, and then funding changes. And a great example of this is with HUD. With HUD, they're starting to really push, because of Obama, they're starting to push for permanent housing. So some areas won't even fund transitional housing anymore. You need to find out what the trend is and make sure you stay with the trend. But what I don't want to happen is, do not become a funding chaser. That's why I'm saying take the time to find out what's in your heart to do. Because when you become a funding chaser, that becomes obvious to your program participants, and it becomes obvious to your funders, and you do not want to be labeled. Depending on where you are, like where I live is very small, and once you're labeled, you can't get rid of it. And once someone says something, it's kind of hard to get away from that reputation. So do not become a funding chaser, but become a chaser of your mission, and then go after the funding, and make sure that you kind of adapt your programs to that.
Okay, and let me just say something real quick as well too. When starting a nonprofit, and this actually goes to business as well, one of the things that I've learned very, very quickly, it kind of goes to what Tamara was saying as far as understanding the trends. You need to know what people need, but you also need to give them what they want as well. You need to kind of expect it. You need to kind of be I like to say a step ahead of the game. And so, you know, don't just kind of sit there and be like, oh, you know, I see this happening. And you need to be very aware of changes. You need to be very aware of the government changes. You need to be, you know, you need to read and not just read gossip, not just read, you know, okay. You need to be in the know, because when you're in the know, you can anticipate. And so that when things change, you are already ready for the change. You have all your things ready, okay? And then also, we had a couple questions about, they actually addressed the Girls Realty. I'm just going to answer them very quickly because I really want to get back to the panel. But someone had asked us on how do Girls Realty grow their brand. And we don't really have I really wouldn't consider it a growing brand. I mean, we really just started. But if I could say anything very quickly, it was just that we knew the clientele that we were trying to serve. That's the best way to say it. We knew who we were trying to serve. We knew how to serve them. We knew what kind of fonts we wanted, where we were going. One thing that I would say is this: you need to have creative minds around you. If you're not creative, don't be the creative one. Get someone who is creative. I thank God that I was very creative, and God's given me that ability, but you need to identify who that person is, and, you know, by the Holy Spirit, God will guide you to the right people. And when we got that, when God had, you know, just began to really use us as a team, we were able to really bring things together. But the number one thing I would have to say is you need to be creative, and do not create just to create. Like someone had pointed out, like when you know, if you're creating a flyer or whatever it may be, put some time into it. I see a lot of people, it looks like you just put on a Word document and then just made a screenshot and then uploaded it. People don't want to see that. They want to see like, wow, like this does not look like someone typed up a Word document and screenshotted it. You know, you want something that looks like you. You know, put your logo, use hashtags. That's really how we've been slowly but surely growing. But those are just some few things. I'm not even going to go into the details. I won't answer those people directly, but that's just something short, just short and sweet, just to put out there. Okay, next question. Where should I start financially when wanting to open a blow-dry bar? Should I look into loans or try and fund it myself out of pocket? And that was from Supercharged from Instagram.
Well, I would suggest that she really needs to look into where her competitor started and know her finances. So it depends on her own personal finances. If she wants to start to fund, which most businesses who start off really put their own money up first anyways. So you're going to initially start to put your own money into it. And then if you want to get a loan, you can, but just know the outcomes of the different loans options that are out there. There's other alternatives than just funding it yourself and also funding through loans. You can do crowdfunding. There's different options than just loans, as well as funding it yourself. You can get a credit card, a business credit card, depending on her structure. If she has an LLC or if she's going to open it as an LLC, you can do business credit, and sometimes they have 6 months to 12 months zero interest, and she can start paying it back after 12 months. And a lot of times the business credit can sometimes be lower than the interest of a loan. So it's just a matter of her looking into the different options and the different people who are going to issue her a loan, or what's best for her personal, her personal finances. But she needs to look into her personal finances and then look into what some of the competitors in her area have actually gone and done.
Okay. So does anyone have anything else that they want to contribute before I go to the next question? Okay, so I'm going to go to the next question. This one's actually is for Tamira, and the question was this: what branding? Oh my goodness, guys! Sometimes when you submit the questions, can you please? Sometimes you guys be messing these questions up, and I have to interpret, and I'm not a good interpreter. Holy Spirit, He helps me, but I'm not the best interpreter of grammar. So please try to complete your sentences, put things together. I love you so much, people. Okay, so first of all, the person's name is Royal Girl. So thank you, Royal Girl. And her question was for Tamira. When branding yourself as a consultant or as a speaker, what are some of? Okay, I'm gonna complete this question. When branding yourself as a speaker, branding yourself as a speaker, and a consultant, how did you build the brand? For being, basic person's really trying to say is, how did you build yourself as a speaker, as a consultant, and a mother? And how do those things go together? How do you really work on, getting your name out there? How did you do it? I know that's what the person's trying to say.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here.
So I used a couple techniques. One of the things that people love to see is what you're actually doing. When I first started, no, it wasn't easy because just like her, I was like, okay, well, how am I going to get my information and prove to people that I can really do this? So first, I started to let them into my life. The things that I teach people are all the things that I definitely do every day in my life. So I started to use the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to basically document my life and the things that I was doing. Content is so important. So I had to build my content. I had to write blogs. I created a guide, the brain workout. I created all of these things, and I use my personal experience and the things that I went through to get other people to see this is what I can do, and this is how I can help you. And I also reached out to places that I wanted to speak. So you can't always wait till someone contact you. You have to do the groundwork. It's so important that in any business that you start, that anything that you're trying to do, you research, you do the groundwork, and you really, really provide the content. With the growing way of social media and the things that technology is bringing, it's so many things out here that you can do to show people that this is what I'm doing and this is how I want to do it. Nowadays, a website is just not valid. You have to use YouTube. I did videos. We had, my daughter and I did monthly videos. So I put those things out there. So I really let people come into my life and really see how I did it, and I showed my story along the way. This is me. So you got to be very transparent in business, and it's so important that you are transparent in business, because if you're not, people are going to feel like they can't relate to you. Again, just as Tamira said, you have to be relatable. You have to want, people have to want to connect with you and basically do the things that you are doing. So that's what the techniques that I use. I definitely leverage my social media and my marketing techniques, and I reached out to people. I provided those things to people, and I was transparent.
Okay, great. Oh, does anyone else have anything to say?
I also wanted to add to that. I'm not sure if I'm quite answering the question, but like she said, just like she said, you have to really be transparent. And sometimes life does happen and things do come up. And you can, what I do, what things have happened to me is I've had to actually bring my son along with me on speaking engagements, on events. As I'm a vendor, sometimes he's sitting there and I'll have him on the computer. But people see that and they can connect with that. And they're like, oh, she's doing it. I can do it too, you know? And so you're pretty much showing that life does happen, but you keep moving on. You don't let that stop you and just keep going forward. So don't let that, you have kids or you have a son or whatever it is, be an excuse to stop you. Don't let that hold you.
You want to make sure that, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no, fine,
you want to make that, I always tell my moms never to say that your child is the reason for you to do this. You want to do it for yourself, because it gives your child the opportunity to see that my mom actually did this. She went through all of these things and she was able to accomplish X, Y, Z. And then you're able to provide a better life for them, not just financially, but emotionally, because you did not give up. So I can't stress that enough. I live every day and I dream, I follow my dreams because of me, because I've seen that my mother put a lot into me, but did not put a lot into herself. And that wasn't really good for my growth, because I had to learn on my own how to pour into myself.
Can I add something to that? Mm-hmm. I just wanted to add really quick, especially for those of us on the call that have children. What's a little different about us as a group is that we kind of focus on ourselves when it comes to business, and other groups, for whatever, ethnic groups, for whatever reason, they make the business a family event. So you have kids running businesses. Like in the city, you can walk into a corner store and a 12-year-old's running the cash register. So I kind of did that with my kids. I have 4. So what I did was, and again, if you're a mom, you know every child has their own gifts and talents. And even as a baby, you start to see those gifts and talents develop. So each one of my kids, outside of my youngest, has their own businesses. And they're all in different places. It's so funny. Like some of them start, with a running start, and then they kind of, draw back a little. So some of them, and you got to coach them. But I make sure that all of them have skill sets. Like I use my son to do some of my graphic work, or I use my son to go in and, like, depending on the intensity of a website, I'll use my son to build a website for a client. But again, I'm teaching him and I'm letting them be a part of it. So then when times get hard, or when your schedule's messed up, they understand more because they're part of the process. They're like, oh, okay, well, you know what, we all have to get in. I'm going to have to find a ride to practice. Mom got this going on, but you know what, I built the website, it's hot, I'm going to make it happen for her. So pull your kids into your business. They may not be entrepreneurs, but give them those skill sets. Let them be little interns. They can put it on their resumes. When they do go get a job, it's amazing how they show up to the workplace more ready than the average kid. Show them how you're doing your finances. Show them about social media the right way, because they're learning all the wrong ways. Tell them that they are their brand, and let them see you do your branding for your business, and teach them how to put that into their own personal social media. But I really want to stress that, because for whatever reason, I don't know why, but other ethnic groups have got this thing mastered, and their kids are like 7 and 6, and they have the entrepreneurial mindset. And then our kids are kind of lost trying to figure out what they're going to do when they're 19, 20. Let them see what you're doing and what your friends are doing, and let them kind of gravitate to where they are. But teach them these little common skill sets, and give them something to do, especially in the summer. Put those babies to work.
That's so true. And listen, I can speak from personal experience as well. I'm not a mother, but I'm the child. And as a child, watching my mother build her business, and we've went through a lot of changes and a lot of ups and heavy downs. And the one thing I've learned over time is how, like, she would just have me, like, just looking at things and building things. And it's funny because when you become a part of the business, you understand how it becomes also a part of you as well. And that's really important, that your child, and that's the thing that I understood. I understood how important that the business was to my mother. And now I'm learning how to soon run it in the future. So I think it's very important, because when you put those things to work, there'll be nights when, like, my mother would tell me, okay, you got to build a website. And I'd be like, I don't know how to build a website. And she was just like, well, you got to learn it by tomorrow. I'm like, why? Because she said, I want it up by tomorrow. And we're like, I have homework. Well, do your homework and learn about it tomorrow. I have SAT work. Oh, do it and learn about it tomorrow. So it's just very important because now I'm at a level where I can, like, if I can do it now. So, you know, it is great to make sure that you have your children involved if they can. And even if they don't want to, they were nice when I didn't want to. But looking back over it, I know more than what the average 22-year-old knows. And that's really what you want your child to be. You want them to be at that level above and beyond, okay? Okay, so we have, it's 9:51, so I want to get kind of everyone out here, but we have some questions. Okay, when starting a nonprofit, does the founder, this is a good one, guys. A lot of people don't know some of these things, but this is very good, though. When starting a nonprofit, does the founder receive a salary, or should the person hold another position, i.e. CEO, or another title? And we kind of already covered the local grants, but this is good, though. When starting a nonprofit, does the founder receive a salary, or should that person hold another position, CEO, or another title? A lot of people get this wrong. A lot of people, they think that, I'm not going to go there. You know what? You guys answer, okay?
Can I go?
This is a good one.
Okay. And again, it's kind of hard because the questions are so flat, so they're one-sided. But, and I'm not saying this is you, whoever submitted the question, but I want to address this first. Typically, when someone's just focusing on the salary, they're in it for the wrong reason. And I hate to say it, but there's a distinct difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit business. So with the nonprofit, the focus of the funding is on programs, and the focus of the funding is on the population that you're servicing. So if you have to pick between a salary for you and taking that money, it has to go to the programs. With funding today, you have non-restrictive and you have restrictive. And most of the funding out there is for restrictive. And it's very hard to find funding for administrative costs. Most funding, especially government or from corporations, are going to be program and objectives driven. So you have to almost come up with a creative way. They may let you build like 3% in for admin. And admin would be like an executive director. It's very rare that you see a position of a CEO. You may see a president. It really depends on the size and the revenue of the nonprofit, but typically you're like an ED, typically. You don't have to be, I'm just telling you what the trends are. But again, if you're looking at it as something to do to get a salary for you, in this day and time, it's not really going to happen because the funding that's out there right now is straight program driven. But then I guess in your mind you're thinking, well, how do I live and how do I still build this nonprofit? It's just like starting a small business. You may have to have other revenue streams. Most nonprofits today, in order just to survive, are now having a for-profit arm. So they're doing things to generate revenue. So for instance, some transitional housing or some, and I'm just keeping it in line with the last question, some homeless shelters now have for-profit cleaning services. Or they may have a for-profit catering business. Or they may have a for-profit t-shirt business, or they may have a for-profit social media business. But you have to find something to generate the revenue. And I'm telling you now, admin costs, like executive director and all that, is most likely going to come from that type of revenue. Unless you can find a funder that just believes in you and your purpose and your mission and who you are, and they're willing to write a check for that, you need to take that and make it happen. But in the end, make sure that your programs and your people are being serviced to the way that the funder wants them serviced, and that you document that. And again, you show it in your reporting with testimonials, videos, or written, just to kind of back you up. Okay.
Okay, I really want to say this because for Girls of Royalty, when you start, and even when you go, and again, I'm not saying that this is you.
Right.
Girls of Royalty is going on 2 years. No one gets paid. Like, we don't get paid. Even when people donate money, there was a lady who donated money to me for Girls of Royalty. That money went straight to Girls of Royalty, because you have to realize that, like, and this is the reason why even Girls of Royalty, like, we started a t-shirt side for Girls of Royalty. Do you know where that money goes? Back to for our website.
Right.
To pay for the website, to pay for the big cartel site that it's on. When we send out business cards to our city team leaders, that's where it goes. The postcards, that's where it goes. T-shirts, did we know where the t-shirt goes money? Back into the t-shirts as well. So you have to realize that when it comes to nonprofit, like, it's called nonprofit for a reason. Non-profit. profit. Non means no profit. And then again, you can form for profit, but again, you really want to make sure if the concern, like for instance, our concern is the women. So guess where it's going to go to? Spreading more information about Girls of World, getting that out, web design. You just need to make sure that you have it set on the people. That's really where God wants it to be. If you look at anywhere in the Bible, it talks about even the money that it goes to people in the church, like clergymen, things like that, where that's understandable. But when it comes to, ministries that are, massive, Jesus, he didn't get paid, he got somewhere to lay his head, he got back up, and he kept on doing what he was doing. So if you want to be like Jesus, lay your head down, get up, go to work, come back and serve. I have my own job, and what I do is I take some of that money, but again, you got to document it correctly. Even when you're giving some of your personal money, my mother taught me this. When you give some of that personal money, document it, okay? You should be if you are a small, use QuickBooks. I use QuickBooks. I use QuickBooks for our business. I use QuickBooks for nonprofit. Use QuickBooks, okay? It's a good investment. If you don't want to get QuickBooks because you really want to be really, really cheap, you should have a spreadsheet somewhere, okay? You should have nowadays you can go to Staples and get a nice book for under $10. You can probably use a coupon as well. So make sure you are the basics should be taken care of, and your money should be trailed. It should be documented. So even if you give money, it should be documented. It should be written down. You should have receipts of every single thing. I don't care if you bought rubber bands to tie your socks around with for your ministry. Those rubber bands should be documented somewhere on that piece. I should see rubber bands. I should see the price. I should see where to go. All that stuff should be documented. Okay. Okay. Next question. Oh, hold on. We got one more. I'm gonna try to get them out. We said that we would try to answer them, guys, so I'm trying to answer them. What's the first step in beginning? Okay, in beginning, it's kind of lengthy, but I'm going to do this one, the other half of hers. Getting your business name registered. How important? Matter of fact, another person asked, Ashley said that when branding and producing merchandise for a nonprofit, is it beneficial to trademark an organization names and slogan? That's Ashley. And then True Day 116 said, again, getting your business name registered with a question mark. I think that's an easy yes, but let's have our panel explain. Why is it so important? Can't people steal? Would anyone like to answer that?
I'll go if no one else wants to, unless someone else wants to go.
Hello?
Okay, so I'll go. When it comes, well, it was kind of two different questions. It was protecting your name, and then it was the trademarking part. You should protect your name, and it really depends on your reach. If you see yourself as just being a locale or like a regional, then protect it in your city and in your state and in the region. If you see yourself being national, try to protect it on a national level. And the reason why is, again, like Genesis just said, not only do people steal, but everyone has ideas, and sometimes people end up with the same idea. And in marketing, all you need is a 3% difference in court, depending on what it is. If you can prove you have a 3% difference, then you're good. So definitely protect yourself when it comes to trademarking. It can be expensive, but it's really worth it, especially like your logo images, because you put your time and effort into that. You know, even if you paid somebody else, that's yours. And you don't want to build up a brand, because it takes a lot to build up a brand. Like all these ladies have shared on the panel, it takes a lot of time and effort, blood, sweat, and tears to build up a brand for you to only lose it, or not even lose it, but just say, for instance, the person that takes your idea or takes your name, and not even take it, just happens to have the same name. For them to have a totally different, branding technique, or a totally different mission, or a totally different standard. Standard is very important in trademarking and branding. If their standard is totally different, they can totally dilute everything that you have or even taint everything that you have built up. So yes, even though it is expensive for trademarking, definitely do it. In reference to the cost to protect your name, it varies per state. I would definitely call, your local government and find out what it costs. Again, incorporate and then also do a DBA. And again, in Delaware, it's a little different. So I would definitely call your local state and find out how to do that process.
Okay, so we have one last one to be done. Marlene, this one actually is for you. This one was as a startup. So we know that you just began. I guess the person who submitted this question did too. Again, this is another Royal girl, and she said, as a startup, what was the biggest challenge that you faced in just starting up your nonprofit?
For me, it was probably, I would say, time. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I would say time as far as time management, because it did consume a lot of money and energy. I know the last question before that someone had asked about, do you get any money out of this? And no, I don't get any money out of it. I actually work 2 jobs, so I put money out of my own income into it too. I pour into it, so you have to sow into whatever it is. So I think for me, the biggest thing was I found myself trying to struggle between if I want to start a nonprofit or not, and it actually took me 3 years to finally say, you know what, I need to do something. So you can't be focused on the naysayers, the doubters, the people that are going to doubt you and say, well, you can't do it, or where are you going to get money, where are you going to get funding. You can't focus on that, and you can't focus on what other people are doing. You have to focus on the vision that God gave you and try to just run with that. Whatever that passion is that he gave you, you have to make a way for it to happen. And I did a lot of research as far as, what was happening in my area in New Jersey. And I knew what I was passionate about. I knew the things that I really, really wanted to do and what was a need in the area that I lived in and what I didn't see, what we had a lack of where I lived at, where we didn't have that many programs for young girls that talked about their purpose and their vision and things that they want to do with their future, and just trying to overcome obstacles, because so many women just don't want to move forward. They're stuck in the things that happened in their past, and they don't know how to move forward beyond that to just embrace what they're called to do. So for me, I think it was a matter of just, not just letting go of any negative thoughts and just doing my research, whether it's through the Department of Treasury, because you have to register your name, you have to register that. So just doing all the legwork and the research. And I do have a great book that's of good help right here. If you can see it, the Everything Guide to Starting and Running a Nonprofit by Jim Gottler is down here. You probably can see the name. If anyone needs it, just reach out to me and I can give you the name of the book. But you definitely want to do your research. On the IRS website, they also have information on there as far as starting a nonprofit and the different forms with the 1023 form and just getting established as a 501c3. So it is a lot of work, but it's something that I'm passionate about and I love to do. And you want to make sure that you have a good team around you, a good support system, and also even your board members. So I think the biggest challenge I would say for me, I'm like all over the place, but the biggest challenge for me was as far as making sure I had the right board members. So I did have a group of people that were passionate about the same thing. So I wanted to make sure that their heart was in it. And that's what God led me to. It took me a while, but I found those people, and they happened to be people that were already in my life. So that's what was my challenge at the time, but now it's not. So, yeah.
Okay, so we want to thank all of our panelists from panel 1. And again, to get more information, you want to go back to our Faith and Finance page, which is right here on the website. You can get all their information, all their links, follow them on social media, check them out. Now, our giveaway for this week is actually coming from Tamisha and Maisha from iStyle Fashion. Make sure I say this right. iStyle Fashion and Beauty Society. Make sure I'm getting them right. So what you can do is if you actually click on the link to the giveaway, you can get a free 30-day membership to their membership program, which is really amazing. Just to see if this is something that you want to do. And I will say they have different packages, and it's very, very constructive, very nice. The setup is amazing, and it really will help you kind of get start on if you really want to get into the fashion and beauty industry, if you're very serious about it. If you're serious and this is something that you want to do and you want to learn from the right people, then you want to get that. And you can also get 20% off of their coaching packages as well. So to get all that, you want to just go to the giveaway link and it'll take you right there, okay? So we're going to have our panel 1, they're going to log out, and we're going to go right into our panel 2 as our panel 2 kind of gets in. But we do want to thank all of our panelists, okay? So again, we have Tamara Lucas, Tamisha Monet, Tamara Varela, Maisha Jefferson, Marlene Francois, okay? So those are our panelists, but you will be hearing about them more, so don't even worry. You're going to get more links about them, all their information, and all of their upcoming events, okay? So we want to just say thank you to the panel, and we just want you guys to have a great rest of your night, and we just hope You guys stay tuned, okay? So panel 1, I'm just going to ask you guys to log out. You guys can say goodbye, and you guys can log out so that we can
Bye.
get... Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, bye. Okay, so guys, we're just sit tight as we get panel. We're gonna get panel 2 on its way in a little bit. Okay. Okay, so let me get everything up real quick. There it is. Now it's on. Thank you. So, like I just said before, we're going to get started now. I had turned my mic down, but we're going to get started now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to have each of the panelists introduce themselves. We are missing a few, and so we gave them the link, so hopefully they will be joining us as we move ahead. But I do want to get started. We have Mr. Vernon Gibson here. He's from G&G Moving Company that is based in Delaware. We have Danielle Barnes, who is a small business coach and a speaker. And then we have Aaron Anderson, who is the nonprofit founder of Inspired for Purpose. And so we're going to have them introduce themselves. I'm going to start off with Mr. Gibson, and then we're going to go from with Danielle, and then we're going to go with Aaron. So Mr. Gibson, you can start.
Hello, my voice is gonna be a little messed up because my voice is bad. But my name is Vernon Gibson. I own G&G Moving here in Newark, Delaware. Sorry, my voice is messed up. I'm gonna get.
Okay, I understand. Okay, and so now we're gonna move on to Danielle, and you can explain more about what you do, maybe about the businesses that you oversee, and you can just go from there.
Can you guys hear me? Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Barnes. I'm a small business coach, entrepreneur, author, speaker. I wear many, many hats, and I'm located here in Houston, Texas. I've been doing business for as long as I can remember. I think my first business I started was when I was 11. It was a dog walking service, and so I help small business startups, entrepreneurs grow, develop their creativity. We do everything from project management to help develop business plans, marketing plans, different strategies to grow and create. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Aaron Anderson, and you can explain a little more about Inspire for Purpose and all the things that you do.
Hi, everyone. Inspire for Purpose came about through my personal struggles. Can you guys hear me? I lost a lot of direction as a teenager and in college, and I kind of fell by the wayside. And like someone said earlier at 9 o'clock, the anointing of coming out of a situation helped me develop Inspire for Purpose. So what we do is we take young girls and we teach them to find their way, find what they want to do in life, find their purpose, and boldly walk in it. We're giving them tools for interviews, tools for public speaking. We have just workshops for resume building, sisterhood workshops. We're also doing community service because I believe you need to go out into your community and help others. So we have them feeding the homeless. We are in the process of getting a brown bag lunch day together, so where we're giving all the children who play at the parks and sometimes who don't get to eat all day lunches. So that's what we do. We're just trying to teach them to be independent, do what you have to do, and that's basically it.
Okay, great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into some of the questions that we have. We actually got a lot submitted over the past couple of minutes, which is really great. So I'm going to actually start off. I'm going to our responses for the faith and finance questions. Again, thank you for people who have submitted. The first one is actually for Mr. Gibson, and it is, how have you used social media to create exposure for your business? I'm a father of 3, and I have, okay, you messed with this last part, father of 3, and I came across your business through Girls of Royalty for my wife. That's basically where he ends. But he says, how have you used social media to create exposure for business? I guess he's coming from a father's perspective as a man. You know, how do you use social media to create exposure for your business? And it's over to you.
Okay. Basically, it's really simple. I mean, social media is basically what we do today as young people. Everyone's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So once again, my voice is a little messed up, but I'll get through this. With social media, people want to see the products that you're bringing to the table. So with my business, with me being a mover and everything, if I'm doing a move, I might take a picture and post it on Facebook, Instagram. I also hang up flat screen TVs and stuff like that. So I'll take a picture, put it up there. People will comment on it and say, oh, that's great. Oh, can you do that for me? So people like to see beforehand what they're paying for. So social media is very important because it's a good way to network, meet people from all over the world. I've had people contact me from overseas just because they liked a flat screen TV hang. I mean, social media is just how we do things today. So if anybody has a business, social media is definitely the way to go as far as marketing. Like I said, social media is definitely the way to go.
Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Danielle, and then Aaron, if you want to answer. So Danielle, because you know you help small businesses start up, so I can only imagine that you tell them you need to get on social media. So what are what are some tips that you would suggest? What are some no-nos? Because there are some things that are some no-nos as well. What are some no-nos for small businesses or even nonprofits when you're using social media? What are some things that you really shouldn't be doing?
Oh God, I think some of the no-nos that stand out to me the most are people tend to, because of social media, they want to get into their personal life and they want to share, they want to make people feel connected with them. And sometimes we get too personal. Sometimes people, you know, if you're using your social media account, be it Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, what have you, it's not meant to talk about how your kid is getting on your nerves, how your husband doesn't support you, how your friends don't like, you know, what you're doing for a living. I mean, it's not a place to vent. If you're going to use your accounts for that, I always suggest when I talk to my clients, have 2 separate accounts. Have a private account. Make sure it's private if it's personal. If you want to have a place where you can share intimate details, although once you put it online, you know, there's nothing private online. But I always tell people that. And then another thing I see people do on social media, especially like Facebook, excessive tagging of people you don't even know. You go on and you don't get permission from other people to advertise your business or your events or things like that. And that is actually, it's doing the reverse of what you want, because the person that you're tagging or, you know, interrupting into their account to promote your business, now you're breaking a relationship that could be beneficial for you down the line. So those are the 2 things I know for sure stand out with me.
Okay, Aaron. Okay, now you, as far as you know, you're in the nonprofit field. As a person who's over a nonprofit, and of course, I know that you have a separate Instagram account for yourself. You have a separate Instagram account for Inspire for Purpose. What are some things that you have learned to work for your nonprofit to kind of gain more viewership, to gain people to come? What are some things that you've seen to help people kind of bring them over to your different accounts, whether it is Facebook, whether it's Instagram? What are some things that you've learned from the nonprofit side?
I've learned who I'm targeting. I know who my audience is. I know who I want to reach. And I do oftentimes kind of repost the things from Inspire for Purpose on my personal account just to get young girls who may not know about Inspire for Purpose to click on the account, and then they'll click on the website and maybe they'll show up to a meeting. I definitely keep the 2 separate. I don't put any of my personal business on the Inspire for Purpose, Instagram, Facebook, any of that. I just think you should absolutely keep those separate. So I know who I'm targeting, that my teenagers, 13 to 18 young girls, so I keep it strictly for them.
Okay, that's really, really good advice. Okay, so let's move on to another question that we had. The next question is, how do you create local hype or gather people to come for nonprofit events when there are so many around right now? Like, there really are a lot of nonprofits. Like, when I started Girls of Royalty, I was like, there are tons of women's ministries everywhere. So I think the first thing that I would say is you need to find your local niche. Like, you need to find what do you do that no one else does and capitalize on that. I think when you figure out like whatever when you come up with your business plan, whether you're a nonprofit or whether you're a small business, you should have a business plan, because even if you're nonprofit, you are technically you're a business, that you just aren't for profit. And people need to understand that. So when you write your business plan, you should have already identified what your niche is. And then I know from when we actually had our first local, so this was actually taking an internet ministry and then actually applying it to physical groupings. The first thing that we did was you need to start with the internet. And I think that's the great thing. Start from internet, and then word of mouth is the most powerful thing I think that will ever. It's been working for years. It was probably working 100 years ago, and it will work 100 years from now. Word of mouth is the most powerful thing because people talk to other people, and when they see something going on and they like it, they will tell their other friends about it. So I know for us, if you are an online nonprofit or business, whatever it may be, and you're trying to actually go to whether it's like a brick and mortar or taking your nonprofit that's online and doing like local groups, I will say start online, and then also make sure that you're talking to those that are connected to you. Like, you know, like sometimes what I'll do is I'll send personal emails out to some of the women who have actually connected with Girls of Royalty, and they're like, oh my God, like people are responding back to me. When you do that, they're like, then they want to go tell someone else, you know, like, oh my goodness. Like, so make sure that you connect in a personal way to your clients or to those that are connected to your nonprofit, because then they're going to tell other people, and then when you do throw an event, they will be more likely to repost the picture that you've posted, or to share the link that you've posted about the event, or to tell someone, or to bring a girlfriend, or to bring, you know, one of the buddies. So that, I think that's where I would start. So now we're going to pass it on to Aaron, because, you know, this is a question really about the nonprofit. So I'm going to pass on to Aaron, then Danielle, if you have something to contribute as well.
What I first did was start on social media, and I built a website. Nowadays, if they can't click on their phones or on their iPads and go to a website or go to a social media page, and it's going to go in one ear and out the other. They have to be able to, it has to be tangible. The second thing I did was there are a lot of different groups for young girls out here, and I actually visited a lot of them and spoke to the founders of them, got advice, and from then I just did my own plan, and I used one lady as a mentor. So we would sit down, I say, this is my plan, this is what I'm going to do, and she would say, this should work, this shouldn't work. But ultimately, it all came together. I always say, once God has something for you, there's nothing that you can do to stop it. There's nothing that anyone can do to stop it. So everything with Inspire for Purpose has been a part of God's plan, so it's just been working.
Danielle, do you have anything you want to contribute to that?
The main thing to remember is that, like she just said, when you have a passion, when it's your calling, when it's something that you're doing, it doesn't matter if other people are doing things similar. They're not going to execute it the way you do. No one's going to be, if that's your passion, when God gives you a calling, He gave you that purpose because you have certain people in your path that you're meant to contact, that you're meant to touch. And so when you're having these events, you know, it's almost like you can have 10 churches on the street. It doesn't mean that that church is for every person that's going to go there. It doesn't mean that that one church is better than another. It just means that everybody connects and relates to people in a different way. And so some people may favor this organization, some people may favor this organization, and that the people who would prefer to be associated with a different organization than yours, those aren't your people. You have your people, you have your market, your audience, the people that you're going to reach, and that's for you. And so you have to just stay focused on your lane. Don't worry about what other people are doing, because once you start getting sidetracked and start looking at your peripheral vision, you're going to get hit a lot of roadblocks that you could have avoided by just staying in your calling and focusing on what you have to do.
Okay, that's great advice. Okay, so we're actually going to move on to a question that was for Mr. Gibson, and this was, as a married man, assuming this is an apostrophe, assuming a family, how do you teach your children about running your business? Now, are your children old enough to, you know, I think you have young girls, correct?
I have an older son.
Oh, okay. So
he's 11. I have an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old. So.
Okay. So the question was, I guess, how do you incorporate as a father that's the head of the household, you know, how do you incorporate, I guess the person really trying to say financing and teaching your children, because I guess considering when you get older, you know, you want the business to keep on going. So how do you, as a father, how do you create that kind of teaching system for your children?
Well, for my son, with him being 11, sometimes I bring him out to jobs with me that I know that I could probably handle with my crew, and I'll have him oversee the job, just so he can see, the hard work that goes into all of this. Even with my daughter's only 5. I always like her to be around to see the hard work that gets put into having a business, or even whether it's just her going to school. She's running track now. Any little thing that my kids want to do, I always show them that I'm doing the same thing at work. When you have your own business and you work all the time, it's kind of the same way as going to school. You just have to, put in your hard work and not try to show my kids that, going to school is going to better your future. And if you want to do this when you get older, you can do so. And I like to show them little things that they're learning in school that I also use with my business, especially my son, because he's 11, he's about to turn 12. So I want him to learn about money early. I want to learn about responsibility. There's plenty of things that I do on a daily basis. I want him to learn early because the ultimate goal is for, one of my kids to take over my business. That would be great. That's every parent's dream who has a business. They just want they would like to build something that they can pass on to their kids. So hopefully they have that vision and they can do that.
Okay, great. Okay, so the next question I wanted to put forth, and let me make sure I get everything up, because I know a lot of people, they want their questions to be answered, because we've been getting people resubmitting their question, so I'm going to answer some of the ones that were resubmitted. Okay. What are some of the things that you would suggest a small business have when starting up? And I'm going to direct this one, of course, to Danielle. So what are some things that you would suggest a small business have before starting up? So before even, I guess, the person before even putting it and stamping it in gold, what are some things that you need to have before you even open up?
Okay, the first thing is a business plan, a clear, defined business plan. Now, depending on the industry you're trying to get into, some business plans I've seen take 6 months to create. Some are a little bit shorter depending on what you're trying to go into. If it's going to be something small, a small home-based business that you do on the side in conjunction with your full-time career, or if it's something you're going to do full-time and devote the majority of your life to. People, a lot of times you see somebody, I see this happen a lot. You may see your friend Juanita, she opened up a bakery. She's great. You think to yourself, I can make cupcakes. I'm going to start a bakery too. And then next thing you know, you're over here in your kitchen trying to make cupcakes, trying to start a website, trying to, do a million things. Maybe you have children, you have other obligations. You're burnt out. You used up all your additional resources on something you had no passion about, something that was not your calling, something you never planned out. It was just something that you thought you could do because if someone else is doing it, you always think, well, if she could do it, why can't I? That wasn't for you. So I always say make sure, 1, you have a plan. Make sure, 2, your talent or hobby that you're trying to turn into a business is actually going to be profitable. A lot of times, if I'm great at playing a harmonica, that doesn't necessarily mean that people will pay me for that. And so, you have to test out the theory, test out your market beyond your friendship circle sometimes, because your friends will tell you, girl, you make the best Kool-Aid ever. You should bottle it up and sell it. That does not mean that is a productive business and that you'll make any profit from it. So find a mentor, find someone, in your area who is doing what you've done, or like a lot of different small business centers at local colleges and universities will help you sit down and go over a business plan and what goes in it, like as far as like sales forecasting and looking at your competition, because if the market is overly saturated, what makes you different? So that's what I would say.
Okay. Wow, that's great. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next question, which is, okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, I know it differs in different states, but what's an estimation, let me make sure I have my mic up. Okay, Oh, someone just asked. Never mind. Oops, sorry. My team, my social media team, they're sending me questions as they come in. So Ashley, who's our Twitter admin, shout out to her. She said that someone just asked, do you think it is possible to start a small business while working your full-time job? So anyone can matter of fact, Vernon, would you like to answer that one? Do you think you can answer that one? I don't really wanted you to be speaking that much, but I know you're I'm gonna
get through this. The answer to that question, I'm gonna say yes. I'm a little biased about that only because when you start a business, I don't like people to think of their business as a side business, because then sometimes you don't always put your all into it because you think it's just a side business. So yes, the answer is yes. You can start a business working full time, but from my standpoint, when I started my business, I started with a clean slate. I wasn't working for anybody, so that kind of motivated me to put all my eggs in one basket to make sure that this thing worked out better. So once again, from my perspective, maybe it's just my opinion, I just think if you're really passionate about something, you might want to put all your passion into this versus Trump, because when you have your full-time job, sometimes you get comfortable. Sometimes you say to yourself, you know, it's not working out on this business over here, but I just got a promotion at my job, so maybe my job is the right thing. And you don't want to think like that if you're trying to open up a business, because then you're going to lose interest, you know. And sometimes even your employer might even know that, oh, you might be leaving, so they might try to pull you back to staying with them. Then you just missed out on your dreams because you're trying to juggle too many eggs at one time.
Okay, so I'm also going to contribute to this one as well. I would personally say for this that when you're thinking about balancing whether it's a business or whatever, and you have a full-time job, I have a nonprofit or budding nonprofit, becoming nonprofit, and I also have a full-time job. I wear many hats. So between church and church work, and because I'm a heavy volunteer for my church, I'm a full-time job. I work for my mother, and she owns a school, and I'm on the administrative side, and I am also learning how to work inside the classroom as well. So number one, you need to know whether or not you have, can you balance what you have now? If you can't balance what's going on in your life now, you won't be able to balance whatever you may add. So I always tell people, you need to see how organized you are first. A lot of people, if you do not know how to organize your life, whatever you add, it will continue to tip the scale, and after a while, you're going to burn yourself out. So the first thing is you need to look at how well you organize yourself. The second thing you need to do, the first thing you need to do is pray. God will confirm whether or not you should go forth or not. When I started Girls of Royalty, I said I do not have the time because I don't even have enough time to go to the gym, and I want to lose weight. How am I going to go start the ministry? God just said balance. So now now I'm going back to the gym, and I do have enough time. So God will, if God has deemed it, He will give the space. It said that God is the one who gives the increase. So if you pray, but He has to confirm it. Don't leave your job and jump ship, and you have it. But then also, do not, don't jump ship, and God didn't even tell you to go. You say, oh, I'm just going to start my business, and I heard this and I heard that. Did you hear from your friends or did you hear from God? So, and also don't start with the wrong passion either. You want to leave your job, and I've heard people leave their jobs and God didn't confirm it, and the next thing you know, they're in the unemployment line talking about, God told me. God didn't tell you anything, and now you're collecting food stamps when you didn't have to. You could have had your nice job with your benefits and your health care, so make sure that before you jump ship, and I'm not really saying jump ship, but before you leave your employer, make sure that you're prepared. The last thing I want to say too with that is that before you even leave, you should have a business plan. don't leave and you don't even have, don't leave and say, okay, what am I going to do now? And you're just sitting in your apartment like, oh, like, just no, because you have your rent or whatever is due or your mortgage. Be very serious. I would also suggest that before you decide if you were going to leave, you need to have, because it is going to be your business, you need to have enough savings to last you, I would say, projected 6 months, just in case, things don't work out so well and you need to return back to your job. Let's say your job doesn't want to hire you back. What are you going to do now? That's very important. But as far as currently holding a job and balancing a business, I would say it is possible. With God, all things are possible. But again, it has to be God confirmed. So I'm kind of going to go with Vernon on this one and say, before you do things, just be smart about it. Make sure it's God confirmed. And then if God does give you the go ahead, then you really don't have to worry about it because God's going to give you the balance and the time. But you also need to be able to hear God's voice. If he says no, please do not go. Please don't be rebellious. Try to start your own thing because it will end up being your own mess and God will have you clean it up and not him. So I would say that. So Danielle, I'm going to have it go on to you. What are your thoughts?
Okay, well, I have a lot of my clients that come to me for small business coaching are considering starting a business. It is very possible. I know a few ladies who have a full-time job because they want the benefits. They want some of the benefits that come from working for an employer, and then they also have had successful businesses that have worked for several years now. But I will say, like everybody keeps saying, it's about passion. If you are passionate about what you're doing, then the extra time you're going to have to commit to having a job and a business will be there. But if you are not passionate about it, if it's not something you are called to do, those late nights when you're up till 3 a.m. working on something and then having to get up and go to work at 6 a.m. the next day and take your kids to school, and then, it's not going to be there and you're going to burn out, So I always tell people, like, while you're at your current employer, learn things. Don't look at it as just a place to make money. See what you can find out about other people skills, customer relations. If it's an industry that you're trying to go into on your own, learn from your managers. Learn how the company was built, how that model was put together. Look into the mission, and then think about what's your mission. Those several months of planning that need to go into putting together a small business, you can do the planning stages while still working. A lot of times we just jump, like, okay, I have a great idea. God showed me something. He called me. Listen, God can show you a vision that was meant to be put into place 2 years from now. He showed you the vision to start the planning, not to go into action. And a lot of times we get anxious because we live in that microwave society where everything's now, stimulation, this. I see everything online. I see everything going. I go online on Facebook. Other people are doing this. I need to move now. Stay rooted. Pray and make sure that everything is done in decency and in order. And a lot of times we don't do that. And that's when, like she said, you're at the unemployment office saying, God didn't show me. God told me this and look at where I am. God didn't tell you to move now. God didn't call you to move now. So I always tell people, you can definitely do both. Just make sure that your business that you're trying to create is not going to be something that you cannot do at the same time. You cannot open a restaurant that you're going to be at full time, 40 hours a week and work a 40-hour-a-week job. But if you're doing something as small as, I have a friend who does event planning on the weekends. She only does it on Saturday and Sundays. She has a full-time job Monday through Friday, and her cousin works all the administrative things while she's at work. That works out for them. It's something small. It's not something she's trying to grow. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to come up with something that's going to change the future, you're going to dive in, and you have these huge dreams and goals, that takes planning. So take your time. Don't jump, ship, like Genesis said, before it's time. But it's something that's doable. But it really, when you get into that planning process, you're going to realize if it's something you can do while you're working or not. And if it's something that's not, then you need to plan and save and be prepared for when you step out of that position and go into your career with your own business.
Okay, I think it's actually great information. Okay, so we have a few other questions, but what I'm going to do now too is, because each one of you guys, we have a business owner, we have a nonprofit founder, then we have someone who helps small businesses and kind of get everything in order. What are some of the challenges? Because a lot of people have this idea, it's actually just what Danielle says, everything is just like microwave, like, somehow you just made it, just woke up one day and you had a business, just woke up one day and you had money, woke up one day and you had staff. What are some of the challenges? People don't talk about things like, payroll, and, you having a full staff and you having to make sure everyone gets taken care of. With, like, for instance, with a moving company, I'm sure there's insurance, heavy fees involved with that. People just think, I'm just going to start moving things, I'm going to just start opening up a business like that. I can lift up things. People don't really talk about, like, the nitty-gritty things that happen, making sure, like for a nonprofit, making sure that you have all your legal things, in order, or, there's just so many things people don't know about. What are some of the things that people should know about when it comes to starting a business, especially in your field? So, like, for you, Mr. Gibson, if it's starting a business and whether it's moving, or what are some things that people should know before they decide they just want to get a U-Haul and start charging people to, move things from door to door? What are some things that they should know?
Like you said earlier, hold on, I'm gonna get this. You touched on it earlier. Like, you have to do your own work. You just have to do your own work in your field. Oh man. Basically, like you touched on it earlier. Basically, like insurances, which is whatever you choose to do in your field, you just need to do all your own work and make sure that you have everything covered. Because, like you said, you can't just start a moving company. Rent a U-Haul, say you have a moving company. There's insurances. There's Department of Transportation to deal with. You have a whole bunch of different organizations that look at you at all times, and that's just moving. Even when a lot of people have bakeries, you got to make sure you have the right licenses for your bakery, the right insurances, everything. I think the hardest challenge for me is not, the paperwork and the insurances and getting all that stuff, because all that is there. I think the hardest part about owning a business is expansion, because, no one really, if you're really passionate about your business, it's hard for the next person to mimic your passion. And I think that's the hardest part that I've come up with my business. I've had lots of employees, good and bad, but no one will never be able to match your passion for your business, and that could be a very big challenge with any business. I don't care what you do, because nobody wants to stay by themselves or for themselves. Everybody always wants 5, 10, 15, 20 employees. So the hardest part for me is trying to put the right people in the right places. Like everybody been saying, it's all about praying and God putting the right people in place, because without Him, there's no way that I would have the quality employees that I have today to help me take my business where it's going.
Okay, and I think that's great advice. I know when it comes to having a business as well, before I pass this on to Danielle and Aaron, God is a huge factor, especially if you're a Christian-owned business, or you're just somebody who loves God and you're trying to just start something up. When God guides you, literally things will fall in line. I think one of the things too that you have to understand is that you have to literally go by God's will. And that can be very hard for a lot of us, because we don't want to do what God says, because we see a lot of things that are happening. We're like, well, this looks huge, this looks great, but you never know what the end result is. God knows the future of everything. So what you may think looks cool now, it may close the next year. Do you want that kind of business? But lots of us, we're like, oh, I want to model this, I want to do what they're doing. So I think I know that from our family, from my mother owns a school, and one of the things that I've definitely learned as far as being a challenge is growth. But one of the things that I have learned on how to overcome that and how to really expand is, number one, like I said before, word of mouth. Two is anticipating the next trend. Like for us, what we saw were a lot of local businesses nearby were closing up. A lot of like corporations, they were no longer offering childcare because again, a lot of people are. If you look at some of the, again, you have to see where the world's going. So with a lot of businesses now wanting to cut back on the little things, like now if large businesses have to now up their ante on healthcare and providing better healthcare services to their workers, they may not really care about now child care for the people that they're not going to think about that. So like for instance, like locally we saw where Bank of America, for instance, they closed down their child care program. Now there was Chase and they kept theirs, but it was only like but Bank of America, they shut theirs down. What we saw were that a lot of now children, they begin to come out and they wanted to go to different places. We capitalized on that. By now we sent out we sent out mailers to people in that area that we knew, like, okay, where do most of the people where they live at, where their areas. So we did mailers, we did postcards, we sent them out. We actually got a lot of feedback. We changed and we updated our website so that when that new outpour came, we were ready for what the new look was like: modern, clean, minimalistic, still sophisticated, matching your brand. So I know for us, like, that helped us overcome growth. I will say this too, and it goes back to what Vernon said, having people who are like-minded, that's really where the growth comes, because when those new clients come into, they want to feel that passion that first connected them. So who's the first person that they talk to when the phone gets picked up? Or do they hear, hello? Who are they hearing? Because again, if they saw your passion, like, come here, this is the business for you, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to call, hello, then they're going to be like, this isn't what I just saw that was branded to me, or this wasn't the image that I saw. So make sure that everything is consistent, because when people see the same image consistently, it gets ingrained in their head. They know your name, they know your brand, and from there on, they can tell people about it. And the last thing I want to say is you should always have marketing materials on you. Don't be that person who never has a business card. Don't be that person who, cannot offer your information right away. Don't be that person like, do you have a pen? You should be the person that has pin. You should be the person that has your card. If you don't have cards, like I know for me, I have two kinds of cards. I have a personal card that I got. This is a great site too, moo.com. They make great business cards. Some people use Vistaprint, but if you want to go a grade up, go to moo.com, y'all. Moo.com is great. They have amazing weight business cards, nice and smooth. If you want to go cheaper, you can go Vista, but I say moo.com. Go to moo.com. This is great for people who, like, let's say you don't have a graphic designer yet, and you don't have a customized kind of business card. Go to moo.com, and I have a personal card for myself, and then a card for Girls of Royalty, so I can hand out, and a card for day school, so I can hand it out to wherever it's necessary. One more thing, I'm sorry, I gotta add this. Don't go to places that you're not going to get the right exposure from, okay? Don't, and I was talking to someone on this on social media today. If you know you're going to a networking for fashion and some merchandising, and your industry has nothing to do with that, stop handing out 100 business cards to these people, because you're not going to get the feedback. They're going to throw your cards away. So when you network efficiently. Go to the place that you know that people will connect to you, that they're actually looking for those services, but don't just pop up everywhere because you're desperate for networking, okay? So that's all I have to say. But Dawn, was it Aaron? Do you have anything that you would like to say as far as people, starting up and things that that they might need as far as growth, or any challenges that maybe you have faced with being a nonprofit?
I quickly that I think that any nonprofit needs. So before I say that, apply for your 501c3. It's worth the money and it's worth the wait. And while you're waiting for that certification to come in, you can still build your nonprofit and you can get your name out there. Also, apply for an EIN number. Uncle Sam wants his percentage. You can't get money from people and you're soliciting all these funds and nothing is going to the government. Also, have a bank account, a separate business bank account. Learn how to balance your time and your money. I'm a mom. I work a full-time job, a part-time job, and I have Inspire for Purpose. And I literally have to look at my schedule book every single minute of the day so I don't get confused and so I don't lose track of what I need to do. You also need to balance your money, because with the nonprofit, you're not making any money. So you're most likely having to take money out of your pocket to pay for things. For instance, I have to pay a makeup artist to come in and show the ladies how to do
interview proper makeup. I had to buy materials so they could do vision boards, and all of that was coming out of my pocket. I also have QuickBooks, like they said earlier, because you can track every single thing that you're paying out of your pocket, and also what you're bringing in. Dedication. It has to be a passion. You have to love what you're doing. If it's not, don't do it, because you're wasting your time and everyone else's. Also have a strong team. I have been so blessed to have people around me who see my vision and believe in me and are of God, and they just want to do God's work, and they want to build up his kingdom. So I've been very blessed to have a team. My community service coordinator, she's amazing. She's on point. She has things planned months ahead of time, and if something goes wrong, we can switch it up because everything is already pre-planned. Excuse me. Also, that was it. A lot of the challenges are time management. I had to literally learn how to balance my life. I have to give my son his time. I have to work to make money to take care of us. I have to have time for me just to unwind and be able to give these girls all that they're looking for, to give my son all that he deserves, and give to myself. I work in the traumatic brain injury rehab, so I have to mentally be prepared for that when I walk in. So learn to balance everything, because if you don't, you're going to lose your mind.
Okay. So, Danielle, now what are some of the challenges that you know, of course, because you work with starting up business, so what are some challenges or things that you have seen that a lot of businesses, they just seem to struggle with, and are there any solutions that you know that people can use, maybe quick ones or quick tips that people can use to kind of overcome those challenges?
Okay. One thing I'll point out is the leadership. Okay, so a lot of times we don't have the right level of leadership. We may have other people in roles for us, people, your cousin, your friend, your college buddy, who you have in a role of leadership representing your company, and they don't have your passion. I think you talked on it a little bit, that you have other people speaking for you and doing things for you, and you don't have your hands in and making sure that you have the right people there who care about your company, the growth, the development, the brand. You have to make sure you have those things in line. I find that a lot of times there's a lack of discernment that a lot of times we have when we're starting these businesses or we're dealing with people. And so you have to be humble enough to take the time and learn, educate yourself, be very knowledgeable about what you're doing, your market, the kind of people you need. Don't let anyone come in and tell you more about your business than you know about your business. Because what happens is then you start letting other people run your business, and it starts to go out of control. And then another thing, greed. I find that sometimes you want to grow. You want to increase your profits. You want to increase your exposure. And so maybe your business isn't growing in the amount of time that you want it to grow. And so then you start doing another business and another business and another business. And your business card is, PATS, tax service, notary, lawn care, daycare center, and something else. Who are you? What is your passion? What do you represent? What does your company represent? I have a couple of clients, when you see them, she's a hairstylist. He does this. He's an accountant. Because they talk about it, they breathe it, they live it. The people around them believe in it because they see their passion. And so people follow passion. Leaders, don't force people to follow them. People want to follow you. They want to be a part of what you're doing because they believe in your passion. They see what you love. They believe that you're a good person, you have a good heart, and you're not greedy. You're going to give back to your people. You're going to give back to your team. And you're going to be knowledgeable, and you're going to also be humble enough to say, I need help. I need to learn this. I didn't know that, and I'm going to do it better this time. And so I think that those are some challenges I find that people do in businesses. They start either getting greedy, sidetracked, wrong people, you're delegating the wrong tasks to the wrong people, and you're not taking the time to make sure that you've mastered your business, because it's yours, and it's your baby, and no one else. You should just hand your baby. If you had a child, you wouldn't just hand it off to some stranger who says they know how to raise children better than you do. Definitely don't just pass your business off to someone else and let them run things without your say-so.
Great. That's actually great advice. Okay, so I have one last question, and we will be done because it's 10:58. So we are like right on time. Got 2 minutes left. So the last question I have it is this: I know it differs in different states, but what's an estimation of what it will cost to become a charitable incorporated nonprofit? And this is in regards to filing. So I'm going to pass this on to either Aaron, or I'll start with Aaron. So when it came to incorporating or starting your nonprofit, can you first say where you're from and what did the costs run around?
I'm from the state of Pennsylvania, and she asking what it costs to get it registered, like a 501c3 registered nonprofit?
It just says I know different states, but what's an estimation of what it would cost to become a charitable incorporated nonprofit? And it just says in parentheses filing. So I'm not really sure about the specific. It doesn't really say anything about specifics.
I paid $300. If you go online to the irs.gov, and whatever your state is in, she'll figure it out in the state that she's in. But it's absolutely worth the money. It's absolutely worth the money.
Yeah, and I want to say this too, because like for instance, like Girls World, we put in our stuff, and we're in the process of becoming a nonprofit, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about before with the branding and becoming your own. People will steal your ideas. In the past couple of months, some of the simple things that we've done with Girls and Royalty, I've literally, and again, you know how the saying, you got to keep your enemies closer? I'm not saying people are enemies, but what I have seen is basically like people that we've just started, people that started following us, and as a courtesy, we would follow them back. Now, we follow some people, but what we've seen is that a lot of times people will like your stuff and then literally copy the same idea, call it the same. I've seen people take when we put up our new website, and they put the exact same, it was a woman who just started her nonprofit. Just started. It was she wanted to start her own little ministry, and these are things that we like Royal Chat. These things that we came Royal Chat, Royal Girl Forum, Faith and Fashion, our articles and things like that. She didn't have a team or anything. She had the exact same menu heading, title, phrasing, everything, right? Now I don't mind that, but then what began to happen was she tried to start putting T-shirts out that had the same type of quotes. The difference was like when ours says sin is overrated, she said sin, and then she put an X, overrated, right? So basically she just took out things here and there. What you want to do is, I've learned the hard way, y'all. I've learned even like from little things that we've done, like Faith and Fashion. I mean, in one sense, it compliments you because it means you're doing something right. It means that people like what you're doing, but you need to protect your brand, protect your name. So make sure that you get that stuff out. Make sure that if you have a product that it's copyrighted, that it's whatever is trademarked, whether it's let's say it's a name, like for instance, like our T-shirts, like Mac and Ministry, we got that stuff copyrighted and trademarked. That stuff is taken care of. It's very easy nowadays. It's very easy to go online to file your paperwork. So make sure that you don't become one of those like sitting ducks that just is like, oh, well, no one will take my stuff. If you're passionate about it, especially if it's anointed, somebody is going to try to take your stuff, because no one likes to steal stuff that's by a lazy person. No one steals lazy work. People steal work that you could tell work's been put into it. That's what they're going to try to steal. So make sure that you put in the time to take care of what God has given you. Part of being a good steward is protecting that what God has given you. Because if someone steals it, God's going to be like, well, you could have protected it. What were you? So please don't blame God when stuff gets stolen, because that God had nothing to do with that. That was all you. Okay, so I'm just gonna do one last question. We'll be done. Okay, where is it at? It was on Instagram. I apologize, guys. Okay, so the last question, and again, we try to answer them all, and I think we actually did. We only had one left, and it really doesn't apply because I think it kind of goes to the last panel. But the question was this. I recently started my YouTube for beauty, and I wanted to do more in my community while I go to beauty school. What are some good ideas to help my YouTube and help me get started? So I'm kind of going to do this one to Danielle because I feel like this kind of goes in like the branding, image end. So do you have any suggestions for this person? Again, this is the Mrs. CAC. So do you have any tips or information for this young lady?
I'm trying to make sure. Is she asking how to get more followers, or to her blog or her YouTube channel, or what is she asking specifically?
Okay, so her question was, it's not really specific. It was, I recently started my YouTube for beauty, and I want to do more in my community while I go to beauty school. What's some good ideas to help my YouTube and help me get started?
Okay, so she wants to do more in her community. She has a beauty blog, and she's in beauty school. To do more in your community, I would make sure flood your network. Like, networking is beyond important. You know, if you don't have a network, your business can fizzle out and die. Especially, you know, I have a background in the beauty industry. That's where I came from. And so, you know, when I created a threading class, and it was a threading class with no one else who was not of Indian or Persian or things like that taught it. I was one of the first Black people who taught it, and we started a national chain of classes that, you know, we went around the United States teaching these courses. And the way we pulled people in and got people to be interested, because it was something new, it was something different. If your beauty blog is, or your YouTube videos are similar to other people, find something that makes sure it's different, and then you're going to start networking, going to meet people who may not do what you do, but they're in a similar industry, you know. So you do makeup, you do hair, you know, tag in with some boutiques, find out they're having fashion shows, see if you can go to the fashion shows and do their makeup for free, and then maybe have someone stream the fashion show, or while you're doing tips, and tie that in, you know. Go to local design schools, talk to them about different things, go up, you know, talk to people at the news station, see if you can do a segment on beauty, see if you can tag that in. I mean, there are a lot of different things you can do to build your brand, but you want to make sure your face is everywhere. If I see your face here, there, before you know it, people know who you are. You don't even know who they are. It should get to a point where you're so saturated in your community, going around, offering your services, offering tips, offering advice, that, you know, everyone knows you, and before you know it, you're going to have more people in your community coming to your YouTube channel, at least you said, your YouTube channel, and things like that. But, you know, you have to make sure you build your network. Build. Relationships. And when you're building these relationships, make sure you're not only contacting to ask them for something. Make sure that you have something to offer them, and also make sure that you're keeping an open line of communication, touching base with them, seeing if, you know, you can connect them with other people. Be somebody that people want to know and people want to listen to.
And I would also, too, just to add on to that, like as far as like building a YouTube channel, I have a couple friends who are like bloggers and things like that. I know for one of the tips that I would also give is that your content, when people come to the YouTube page, what are they seeing? You want to make sure that you have good content. You know what the trends are. Make sure, number one, you should be following all the top YouTube accounts for beauty, for hair, whatever it may be, because you want to see what they're doing. You want to see, and again, it's not to steal or to copy, but you want to see, like, okay, where are the trends? Like, for instance, you know, was a lot of people do the what's in my bag, you know, makeup tutorials, you know, get ready with me, you know, beauty reviews. You know, you want to see what girls like, and then you want to also know, like, you know, what's your spin on it. You know, whether you're, nowadays a lot of the beauty bloggers, they have what they call like personal vlogs, where like they have like their life, they kind of like do, like, you know, go around with me for the day kind of thing. You know, you want to kind of connect with your viewers, okay? Also, you know, maximize on, you know, the Google products that Google offers for apps, you know, to connect with people, whether it's like, you know, Hangouts, whether it's, you know, your Google Plus page, you know, helping people be alerted when you upload a new video. You know, a lot of people, what they do too, YouTube accounts, they actually have a blog where like they'll put up the videos on as well, so that, you know, you're getting double exposure. So that if people come to your blog, they're coming to the YouTube page. If they come to the YouTube page, they'll go to the the blog, and it'll also help you communicate back and forth with the different people who you may come in contact with, because like on your YouTube page you can't really have like an about me bio. There is a description page that you can take advantage of as well. Also on the new YouTube pages you can actually put up trailers that are 30 seconds long, so make sure that you put up a trailer there so that when people come to your YouTube page you can have like a 30-second trailer. If you don't know how to do that, if you have a Mac, use iMovie. If you have Windows, use Windows Movie Maker. I would also suggest an online company that I came up upon called Animoto. It's Animoto. It's where you can make free up to 30-second videos. You can add photos and music, and you can make videos. I know a lot of people, they've used that to make like quick videos for like, you know, their trailers for their YouTube page. They have a lot of pre-made templates to make these videos with. You can add your own music, your own pictures and videos. So like that's a great way to start out if you don't know where to start. I would also suggest too, if you're a YouTuber, you want to edit your graphics, things like that, use Pixlr. It's Pixlr. They have Pixlr Express and actually Pixlr, where you can actually edit photos. So, you know, if you want to, you know, get some really good graphics on your blog or on your YouTube, I would suggest using these online resources to help you kind of, you know, help the branding so much. Okay, so anyway, I hope these answers have helped you. We have answered all of the questions, so thank you to everyone who has answered. And now I'm just going to turn it back to our panelists. Are there any like upcoming events or just maybe discounts, promos you guys have going on, just in case any of our, you know, people want to connect with you? So I'll start out with the opposite end. So we'll start out with Danielle. Are there any maybe services that people can contact you with, anything like that?
Oh, let me make sure I say I love how you say my name. It's like Danielle. It's really cool. Anyway, I have on my website, you can go to my website, daniellebarnes.com, and click on business services. It'll send you to the business service website, and we have multiple services on there, from business plan development and things like that. I'm going to send Genesis a coupon code, a promo code, and so any people who come through her, we're going to offer a discount on those startup services, and we can sit down and do like a little mini session and to see where you're going, where you're headed, and kind of do like a little quick 5-10 minute coaching session that goes along with that.
Okay, so now we're going to go to Erin. Erin, are there any upcoming things for Inspire for Purpose? What's going on with Inspire for Purpose? Can you tell our girls maybe, you know, a little bit more about what may be coming up and how they can connect and things like that?
Yes. If anyone wants to reach out to me, please email me at inspiredforpurpose@gmail.com. If you are in the Coatesville area, on March 3rd, we will be at Good Works to help building up a house. If you are in the Philadelphia area, June 29th, we'll be at the Ronald McDonald House feeding families of sick children. And also in the Philadelphia area and Coatesville area, we will be having a brown bag lunch where we'll be feeding the homeless at Love Park, and then Coatesville will be feeding the children who are out playing during the day. So that's what we have coming up in the next few months.
Okay, great. So I'll make sure that we keep our women and everyone who's tuning in the loop. And last but not least, Mr. Gibson, are there anything promos coming up? Anything you got going on? And also, like, you know, your services, so that, like, you know, when people, of course, when they go to Faith and Finance, they'll see the link to your website. So, like, are there any packages going on or anything that people, like, you know, services that you provide that people can get on board with?
Yeah, there we go again. Okay. All right. You can just visit me on my website at www.gngmovement.com. Going back to what you were saying, I have a YouTube video on there also. I think customers like to see, you know, firsthand a video of what's going on, what kind of services we provide. I said it earlier, I hang up flat screen TVs also. That's a service that I provide. Periodically, I do have living social deals. You know, I might give $200 worth of moving service for $98. That promotion just ended in April, so unfortunately, that's not going on right now. I'm working on something with Amazon.com, so that'll be kind of similar to the Living Social thing, so you can look out for that. Just click on our website, which again is www.gngmovement.com. You can go to specials, and I think the deal will be very similar to the Living Social deal. We're going to give $200 worth of moving services for $98. So once that goes up, we'll post it to our website. You can buy that as many as you like. But I know for a fact that the Living Social thing is we did that for 2 years straight. It's something that we like to do to give back to everyone, to say thank you. We enjoy it. Every client, so we just like to give back a little bit, and that's how we do that. So I have the Facebook page also. My name is Vernon Gibson. Just find me on Facebook. I'm pretty sure I got the most likes for Vernon Gibson. There's not too many Vernon Gibsons out here. So just find Vernon Gibson, owner of G&G Movement. Just follow me. I post a lot of pictures on my Facebook page. That's going back to what the gentleman asked me earlier. I think people are really getting into the social media aspect of business. It's just the wave of the future. So, I'm on Facebook. I love Instagram. I travel. I post pictures from all over the country where I'm at with clients. These are the things that people like to see, and I enjoy doing them. So if you follow me, you trust me, you'll have a good time with our company.
Okay, well, I want to say thank you to all of our panelists. We are grateful that we've had some great people just come on and just share with you more information about really what the world is doing. There's so many people out there doing so many different things, and I think it's good that you can see that. It's important for you to see that there are people found their dreams that are doing the things that God has called them to do, and it's achievable, it's doable, and it can be successful. These are people that are going forward with their dreams. So again, we want to thank you, have a huge thank you to our panel, to Vernon and to Danielle and to Aaron, and to those who are, we were supposed to have a couple other panelists, but they weren't able to make it, or they made it really late. So we just want to say thank you to all of our panelists who came on, and again, join us this Friday for Friday Night Prayer, and join us next week. Actually, no, this Saturday, guys. This Saturday is our second to last panel. It's our Faith and Finance, so make sure you join us for that, and that starts at 6 p.m. this Saturday. Okay? So again, we want to say thank you to everyone, and we want you guys to have a great night, and we love you guys. Goodbye.